Sunday. Happy Transgender Visibility Day. We are going to be doing some work on the knitting machine as we do almost every Sunday, unless I have a headache or something comes up. But we are here together today, like I said, to play with the knitting machine. If you're brand new here, I am Tori, also known as the Crafty Girl. I play a lot with yarn as of lately, and so I had to start off by wearing this little piece here. I'm trying to get as many uses as possible out of this top before it gets warm. It's sunny today here in Spokane, Washington, which is where I'm located. Where are you watching from? We have a little bit of sunshine. I think it was like in the 50s. So we're starting to get into that spring weather, which is awesome. So I wanted to wear this as many times as I can before we get into the super hot months. And this I did actually with crochet. A friend of mine sent me a picture. I was inspired. And so I just created this little pattern. I have it on backwards, I just realized. Although it doesn't really matter. It's reversible. So anyway, so I made this, but as we always do on Sundays, I'm going to share a couple of things with you. I have a really cool product that I found on Etsy that I'm going to share. Again, I don't get anything for it. It's just, I love supporting small businesses. So if you are a small business owner and you have any crafting supplies that you'd like me to check out, don't forget to share those links. I'm always looking to support those fellow small businesses. So I'm going to start with that. I'll show you what we're working on today, and then we'll kind of dive right in. So how is everyone doing today? As I wipe my nose off camera. How about that? That makes sense. Okay, so the first thing that I got, okay, this is really exciting. I got this on Etsy from this little shop. What is it called? Lemonwood. Lemonwood? I think it's in Tucson, Arizona. So they're a small business and they create these cute little things. You can get different designs. And of course I had to get a bumblebee. So we've got the bee here. And if you're wondering what this is, you have this little piece goes through here, and then this goes here in your yarn cake. There we go. You clip on this little thing right here, and then you can actually just hold it in your wrist and it'll spin. I mean, it's such a freaking cool little tool. You could also clip it in your car while you're driving, so then that way you have that. So anyway, that was just one of those little things that I picked up that I thought would be helpful to someone else out there, and also, again, supporting another small business. So today, I thought we would just make something random. I did play around with something this morning. I've been working on a pattern for a drop stitch mesh top. So this season, as we go into the spring, summer season, aircon, mesh, sheer, all of those things are really trending. And so I thought, why don't we use the knitting machine and make something super adorable? So I just finished this morning, and I'm wrapping up the pattern right now, but as I stretched it out, there we go. But I made this, okay? So this is just a little kind of, what would you call it? Fishnet mesh? I don't know. It's drop stitch is what it is. But I just made this little top here. Last week or 2 weeks ago when we were together, I showed you how to make the little bralette that's here. Again, these patterns are on Etsy as I designed them based on your suggestions. I put them on over Etsy if you like the PDFs. I also tend to do a lot of the videos for them just to show you how to do them. So this one just wrapped up this morning. Love how this turned out. For me in particular, I would probably make it a little bit longer. I put it on with a white tank top and I was like, a little short for me, but it is great for someone else. And then I made a little hat I wanted to share with you. So I started that project with this gorgeous color red. So this was like my first drop stitch panel that I was playing with, and it was so gorgeous. Like this red is so beautiful. So I think I might make a really long one, like a long dress style, maxi style with sleeves. We'll see, but that's the plan. But that's not what we're doing today. Today, we're just gonna do something simple that you can do in like 30 minutes. It's a great project, and I think I do a lot of videos on this because it's such a great last minute project. But in honor of Transgender Day of Visibility, I just whipped up this really quick drop stitch. I'm calling it a water bottle holder, but you could also use it for so many things. I took it up to show B, and oh, by the way, the Anchor 24 is in the house. That is my husband, partner, and best friend, Bill. I call him B. We just celebrated 22 years last weekend. That's why I was not live. And he's our moderator. So he's here. He's helping us out. He is the rock star. And when I brought this upstairs, let me show you what it looks like not on the bottle. when I brought it upstairs, he was like, oh, did you make a sock? And I put it on, and yeah, it actually is a sock. So you can use the same thing that with using the Addy 22, and you can make like cute little socks, maybe fishnet knee highs, right? Just make it a little bit longer. How stinking cute would that be? So this is a pretty flexible technique, the drop stitch technique. I did just do a video, so it's a quick 7-minute video on how to do drop stitch panels, but we're gonna be doing a drop stitch tube today because we're gonna make a market bag. We're gonna try to make a market bag. We're just gonna wing it. I'm gonna use, you know, similar process. So I'm gonna pause, I'm gonna check chat, see if anyone's here, if anyone has a question. I don't know where my chat went. It disappeared. I don't know why I can't see my chat. Oh, there it is. There it is. Excellent. Okay, cool. I'm going to blow my nose again. I don't know why it's so runny, but we're going to dive into the knitting machine, which is what everyone is here to see. I think I showed everything I wanted to show you today. And again, we're just going to be doing, I'm going to show you how to do a drop stitch technique, the simplest way to do a drop stitch technique. And I'm coming over here. We're going to flip her around. So here's what you want to see. You didn't want to see my face, right? You wanted to see the knitting machine. So we're going to be using the Addy 46 knitting machine today. Yes, so Joanna's Crochet and Animal Sanctuary says they used to wear fishnet stockings when they were a teenager. Yes, so did I. I would wear them over colored tights, different colors, and actually, yeah, over colored tights, and also under jeans. Did you ever do that? Like have really ripped jeans with the fishnets? Yeah, that was a vibe, and I still love it for sure. So we're going to use the Addy 46 pin, and I am going to be using cotton. So for the sample that I did just before we went live here, this is an acrylic. This is actually from Lion Brand yarn. And again, I love it. It works up very quickly. It's very soft. It's really nice. But when you're working with like a market bag or something you want it to retain or want to retain shape, acrylic or stretchy is probably not going to be your best option. So we're going to use some cotton. Now, if you've used circular knitting machines for any amount of time, you know that cotton can be a bear. It can really be a challenge with our knitting machines. So I am prepared. I have my weights, my claw weights to use with this today, but I really love this color, this goldenrod. So this is what we're gonna go with. And guess what? If it doesn't work, that's okay too, because I'm all about showing you real world, trying to show you real world what happens and what can happen with your knitting machine. Okay, so we have Holy Flower. I got my knitting machine and have made a striped cardigan and scarf. Awesome, nice job. That first project that you get done always feels so good, right? It's like, yes, I did it. All right, so we are going to, like I said, we're going to be working with tubes. So we're just going to do a tube because it's super simple, especially since we're just going to be planning on making, I think it's going to be a market bag. Again, the whole purpose of this is just to show you how to do this technique. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to cast on with waste yarn. Now, question I always get, what is waste yarn? Why is it important? Waste yarn is just this contrasting color of yarn that you use so that you can get better finishes on your items. So if you do not use waste yarn and you just use like a yarn to pick up the loops, those loops will tend to be a little bit stretched out, won't be even, and you won't get the cleanest finishes. So where's my sample so I could show you? So you'll see that the top finish right here, this is nice and clean because we used waste yarn before we came back in and did a crochet finish. Same thing on the bottom here. This is a slip stitch. Okay, so I didn't use a crochet bottom, but I did do a slip stitch, and I used waste yarn to make sure I got that nice clean side right here. For sure. Okay. Learning curve and didn't realize I had suction cups. Oh, yeah. So were you on the Centro? So the Centro suction cups, when I was working with Centros, I struggled so much with those because they would come undone. I would use double-sided tape under the suction cup to kind of give them more of a attachment there. And then I ended up getting a metal tray, and that tended to be the best thing I ever got for those machines. Okay, cool. So let's dive in. And we're just going to start by casting on. Again, tube setting, so you don't have to make any changes here. If I can find, this is a really long waist yarn. And we're just gonna cast on. And with your circular knitting machines, the process for casting on is I think pretty much always the same. You're just gonna go behind and front, behind and front, behind and front. Turn that this way a little bit. Each of your pins. So I'm starting in front of this last pin right here, and then I'm gonna go behind, in front, behind, in front. Now, if you are just starting out and you're looking for guidance on how to get started with casting on or casting off, there are a ton of videos out there. I have some linked in the description to help get you started, and then come back to a future live and we can spend more time doing it. So we tend to spend time answering questions and going over advanced techniques during our time together, but I am always here to answer those questions. All right, so now we're just gonna go around and just do a few rounds of waste yarn. Okay, let's see, are we coming up on that last? I mean, I have enough waste yarn for this round, so let me see. It's like playing yarn chicken all the way to the very end. Okay, that is, we have enough, barely, but that's okay, we have enough. So what I like to do for my projects is I do actually put one single strand of waste yarn after the initial cast on waste yarn. And the reason I do that is because this will act as like a release cord. I can't remember what release cord? Release? I don't know. My brain isn't latching on to what it's called. But it'll make casting off so much easier. No, not casting off. It'll make finishing the end so much easier. So we're just adding this one extra contrasting color to both, to your waste yarn as well as your working yarn. And I really have no idea why this, I reuse all my waste yarn. So those of you that have been here before know that I use all of these over and over again. I try not to have as much waste, as little waste as possible. So I don't know why that one is so long today. Okay, so now we're gonna add our working yarn. And like I said, we're gonna use cotton. This is sugar and cream, by the way. This is the sugar and cream yarn. This is really thick. So I have struggled in the past with this. So I have a backup option if this one isn't going to play well with us today. I have this other yarn. I don't even know where I got it. Maybe I got it at the thrift store. Who knows? No, I think I ordered it. I think I ordered it online from Joann's. It's Lion brand organic cotton. It's mostly cotton or 100% cotton. Nope, it's 100% organic cotton. And I think when I got it, I was like, yes, this is awesome. And then I got it and it's so tiny. It's so tiny and I forgot to look at the size. So I haven't used it for anything, but it is cotton. It's just more of like a, you know, it's like really small. In fact, what does it say? It's the 2. So this is definitely really like a really small weight, but you know, we might use this if we have to. Okay, so let's cast on. Now I am going to leave a little bit of a tail. And because we are working with thick yarn, I am not, okay, let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, we are over here where my finger is. So we are not going to place the yarn in here. Just like you're flossing, you know, when you floss your teeth, we don't want to go in between the teeth here. We want it to rest on top and close that up. And the reason for that, in fact, you can even come out of the top here if you want to do this. But because this is so thick, if you do try to put it through there, your machine is not going to like it because the tension will be too tight for it. So just as a heads up. So I'm actually going to leave it at the top. That'll give us some nice loose tension. And then we're going to set our timer here. Or timer. Yeah, here's our timer. You can only go this long. And let's see, when we're working with drop stitches, one thing of note is that your work typically will double in size. So where's my sample? So this right here is 10 rows of standard knitting. This right here is 16 rows. So you can see the difference is significant. And that's because we're gonna drop every other row, and then that just essentially releases half of your stitches. And it makes it super stretchy, which is great again for market bags and things like this, or the drop stitch top I showed you. But definitely you need to take that into consideration when you're working on your project, because if not, you'll have something super long or you won't make enough rows. Okay. So pause. Any questions so far? Again, how's everyone doing? Where are you watching from? My brain is fried today on the Sunday. There we go. Okay. All right, so let's just begin. Oh, I didn't even tell you. So let's see if this is how big this is with 16. Let's do, let me see. Trying to think, because I use samples, so I don't have to create multiple samples. So this sample, when I was making my top, I think I did this 20 rows, and then it ended up this long. So let's go for 20, because I think that would be a nice size little market bag. You also don't want it too big, and I mean, it could be good like for carrying light things like yarn, but let's just. So let's just go. Oh, and I heard it. Okay, so y'all are gonna get a lesson today in fixing drop stitches. I haven't had to do one of those in a while. So we have a tucked stitch. We have a tuck stitch right here. So a tuck stitch means, especially if you're working with thicker yarn or like cotton, and I told you we would have a problem with this yarn. The loop that's typically, in fact, let me point this out. The loop that's here, that's typically on this right side, when it gets tucked, it means that it went under the white, it went under the pin, okay? So now you have both of those loops under here. And you need to make sure you pick that up, because if you don't and it actually drops, all of your work will come undone. So we are going to want to make sure we fix that. You don't fix it on the right side though. We're going to fix it over here on the left side. It makes things a little bit easier, especially because this cotton has no stretch. It has no stretch. So we are definitely going to, for this project, be using these. So these, my friends, are clips. These are claw clips, weights. These are so important when you're working with yarn that is not cooperating with your machines, because you're going to be able to clip it around your work and create that tension to pull the yarn down. So any of those challenging yarns, these are going to be amazing. I think I got a set of 5 for like 20 bucks on Amazon. So we will definitely be using those, even though we're only going to be doing 20 rows. Pretty sure instead of just struggling through it, we'll add these after a few rows. Okay. So we're going to fix this drop stitch together, or tuck stitch together. I'm just going to mark it just to remind myself. But this also tells me that as we go around with our tube right here, we are going to want to make sure that we are pushing, okay, each of these loops down if they don't fall down naturally. So there's probably going to be a lot of manual work, and that is to be expected when we are working with cotton. Okay, but if it does take this long as we get into the next few rows, I'm going to actually move that back there. I'm not going down here again. I'm not using it as floss. I don't want that tension in there, but it'll help me hold it a little bit better if it's coming out of the back. Yeah. Okay, so we're coming back up to this tucked stitch, and now I'm going to show you how to fix that. Okay, so you want to grab your crochet hook, and I'm looking for a thinner. I typically have a thinner one, my favorite crochet hook, which I seem to have misplaced. Surprise, surprise. So we'll just use this one right here because this is fine. And so what we're going to do is when that tuck stitch, let me make sure you can see what we're doing here. Here we go. We'll get it a little closer there. So this is where our tucked stitch is. So what we want to do is and again, keeping track that these don't come off, as it starts to come up, once it gets a little released, we are actually going to pull that loop that's coming up off of our machine. And you'll see that there are two loops here. I don't know if you can, it's kind of, this angle is a little bit hard to see, but where both of them are now under this pin because one of them was tucked. So we are going to just take our little hook here and we're going to pull both of them off because I want to show you. Because in the real world, you're probably going to have some tuck stitches every once in a while, especially if you're using like a Centro or another brand besides Addy. Tend to have quite a few. All right, so we're removing both of those loops. Now, one thing you want to be careful of, especially since we're here at the very beginning, you do not want to let go of the last loop here, because if you do, your work is just going to come completely unraveled. So now that we have both of these loops undone, we're going to place our crochet hook under those two loops, and that is all we need to do. And we're going to take this loop, okay, the loop that's closest to you, and it's, again, this is going to be harder with cotton because there's no stretch. You're going to pull it over the first loop, okay, just like that. So we just kind of switched positions. Then we're going to pull our crochet hook back, pick up that loop, and then bring it back over the pin. And then pop everything back down, okay? So that's just showing you off the pin how to do that. Sometimes it's easier to go around a few rows and then pick up like a few loops on there, but it's really personal preference, but that's how you would fix that if that happens. And then I'm gonna leave the stitch marker on here until we go around at least one more time, just to make sure that everything is fine. It is, I mean, I can look at it and tell, but it's just a good best practice to get into. Okay, now we're just gonna keep going. Like I said, we're gonna try to get this to 20 rows. Oh, cotton. And then after I do about 2 more rows, I'll put the clips on and I'll show you how those claw clips will make a difference. So you can work with cotton, you can work with wool, you can work with some of these more little bit difficult yarns on your knitting machine, with the circular knitting machine. There are a few tips and tricks you just need to be aware of. Yeah, after our last live, the server went crazy and it wouldn't end the live. So it was just kind of like the live was just sitting there for 20 minutes, just still on, even though it wasn't actually on. It was very interesting. So there is also, I think, some cottons that are a little easier to work with than this, what do I call this? Sugar, what's this called? Can't even remember. But you just have to play around with your different yarns. And don't force your handle. If it gets stuck, do not force it. You will break it. Okay, so now let's add our little claw clips. So like I said, these little claw clips right here, in fact, I will zoom out so we can see a little bit clearer. So our claw clips, what you want to do is you want to take the little claw portion here, okay, and then you're going to place them evenly around your machine, and essentially it's pulling down that yarn. So there's 5 of them, so I'm just going to, sorry, that was really loud, probably scared you because it scared me. Okay, we're going to place all these here. And then this should help somewhat so I don't have to push down every single one manually. I still will have to do that a little bit, but it will certainly help. Okay. Oh, Tunes of Dudes asks, is this just a demonstration or are you making something specific? So typically I have a project in mind. This one is, it's tentatively going to be a market bag that's going to be like this, but a little bit bigger and with cotton. So I made this just before this little tiny one here, just to show you kind of what the technique I'm showing is, but I'm gonna show how to do this drop stitch technique that you can use for a ton of different projects. So we are making something specific, kind of, but it's more just showing you the technique and answering questions as we go through too. So great question. All right, so now let's go around and see the difference. So you can see that claw clip is keeping those down so I don't have to constantly push them down with my fingers. You still have to monitor, okay? And there are going to be some that still get stuck, but it will not be as much work as it was before. And remember, we're only going to go 20 rows, so luckily there's that. But we are only at 5, so... And you can reposition if you start finding that some of your hooks aren't as effective, like that one's just barely hanging on, you can absolutely reposition those. Oh, and then just to double check, this is where we had that tucked stitch. Everything's good, so bye-bye stitch marker. This is why a lot of knitting machine or circular knitting machine folks use acrylic yarn, because acrylic yarns work so much better than cotton in these machines. But like I said, you can use this cotton. It just takes a little bit more work. So if you are new, we do these lives together typically every Sunday, unless something comes up. So if you ever have any techniques or questions that you want answered live, feel free. We usually do this around the same time, and you can enter those in. I always like to start with a little project, show you a technique, and then again, answer questions as we go. And then as your claws start to get too low, maybe they're, again, stopping efficiency, you can just come back up and switch them up. Hey, Shay Shay! Okay. Yes, this is not going to be as exciting as it typically is just because we cannot go that quickly. But cotton is definitely the best option when you're working with wearables or when you want less stretch or when you want, like for a market bag, durability and washability. Does anyone else use cotton in their circular knitting machines? So this week, I don't know if anyone's been watching any new shows, but this week I just finished a new sci-fi show. So I'm a huge sci-fi nerd. Love it. And it was called 3 Body Problem. So if anyone else has seen this, let me know. I just finished it this week and it's based on a book. And it is so, it may be more than one book. I don't know, but it is so good. I couldn't stop watching it and I wanted it to last. I think they have to do at least another season, though. It definitely ended on a cliffhanger. Okay, we're on row 10, y'all. We're halfway there. Woohoo! Oh, that tension is not good. Oh, Hazim Wright says, is talking about, yeah, it's a fresh kind of show. It is definitely. I was just like, this is what I need more of. Some originality, something different. But I definitely want to read the books now. Or book. I guess I need to look that up and see if it's multiple books, but I used to read so much more. I mean, I used to be a huge reader, and then I started spending all of my time crafting instead of reading, or reading about crafting. So I really need to get back into that. And I've heard folks say try audiobooks. You know what? I can't. The way that I process information with my brain, I can't listen to a book and do something else at the same time because I won't hear it at all. I wish I could listen to audiobooks. Oh, look at a few in a row. That's great. Hi, Shirley from the UK. Welcome. And Muriel has a question. Hi, my yarn will not stay on my machine. What can I do? Muriel, give me some more information. What are you doing when it won't stay on your machine? What type of yarn are you using? Are you trying to do tubes, panels? Give a little bit more information and I will give you the best information that I have. So we're working with cotton right now if you just joined. So that's why this is taking so long and it's being such a pain. But when you're working with typical, you know, like the 4 weight that is recommended, oops, gotta be careful with these claws. There should be very limited problems, but there's always gonna be issues. So let's see if we can fix those for you. Justin's World, hello. Welcome, welcome. Xavier, hello and welcome. Welcome to the thing. Ryan Thatcher, hello as well. And Cassia, hello. I see you're in the chat as well. When did you get that machine? Where? I got this machine on Amazon. So this product here, this brand is Addy. I know that they are manufactured in Germany, but you can get them from their own website or on Amazon here in the US, which is where I got this one. And this project, if I wasn't using cotton, I could finish. So I did this one right before we went live. I think I did this one in 30 minutes, and that included the crochet finishing on the top and the bottom. So when you're using different types of yarn, it can go way faster. But yeah, this cotton is not cooperating, so it's going to take a little bit longer than normal. But I love this color. I have learned as I'm getting older that, you know what, I just love color. I love yellow. I love this particular like goldenrod. It just brings me joy. Okay, we're on 13. We're getting our way to row 20. That's our goal. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I need to blow my nose here. Okay. And with our chats, with our lives, feel free, if you are a small business owner, or if you have social media, if you're a content creator, feel free to let us know what you do in the chat. This is a friendly, inclusive environment, so we love to support fellow makers as much as we can. Just no spam. Questions? Yeah, so on average, how long does a bag take? If I was not using cotton, I think that honestly, I could make this. I mean, you can knit something up really quickly. In fact, I can even show you once we're done with this, like 10 minutes to get the base. The bulk of what I find with knitting machine projects, because I do mostly wearables, is the bulk of the time is spent with your finishes, with either doing, you know, like a crochet on the tops and bottoms, adding straps, stitching them together. That's where adding the details, that's where most of my time is spent. The knitting machine just definitely helps get those base pieces done for us, just to save some time there. But I am a crocheter as well, and you know, with crochet you do a lot of the finishes as you go. So I think that knitting machine is definitely, circular knitting machine is faster, just absolutely a different different quality of products, I would say. And these are great questions, everybody. Okay, we're on 15. Let's see. So if we're doing 15, no, we have to get to at least 20, or else this will not be a bag that can hold anything. And thank you for all of the hearts. Thank you so much, everybody. Again, I know this one's not as exciting as other projects we've worked on together. But drop stitch has been asked about a lot in the last week. I did a little video just showing the current drop stitch top that the pattern that I was working on, and the video was very popular across platforms. So that's why I decided to demo that for you today. And just because, again, I want to keep everyone's attention, and I know this can be super boring, I'm just going to do something really fast. I want to show you. Oh, whoops, not me. You don't need to see my face yet. So this is the project I was working on earlier. So this is what I want to show you. This actually, so Hazim had a great question. How long does it typically take? So this is the same process. This is doing what we're doing, the drop stitch, which we do after. So we're right now stitching right? We're over here, we're stitching 20 rows, and then we're gonna drop every other stitch, which will allow the bag to extend, kind of double the size. And that's what I ended up doing here on this project. So this was the most recent pattern that I was working on. And it's just this little mesh top, crop top, with fun little sleeves. It has a boat neck. And then I have this just with this little bra top right here. And again, this may not be something you're interested in doing, but you can absolutely use the same concepts. You can make a little bra top like this, which we did a couple of weeks ago. You can make this in an hour. So these can go pretty quickly once you get those techniques down. And also, this is Caron's Simply Soft. It's an acrylic yarn, so it does absolutely go way faster than this cotton does. So just wanted to kind of give you a quick view of what inspired this project today. Okay, so see, oh, it's going so much faster, yes. So 16, great. So, yes, bag, yes. Yes, okay. And feel free, everybody, if you're just popping in, ask any questions you want about the circular knitting machine. Either I will answer them or our amazing mod, the Anchor 24, will answer that. We're just trying to get to 20 rows. Well, that's kind of a lie, because I need to do 20 drop stitches and then do a couple of extra rows, but we'll get there. Oh, see, the longer it gets, those weights really do help. Let go. There we go. Okay, we're on 18. We're gonna go 2 more rows of this, and then I'm gonna show you. We're gonna drop the stitches on the machine. Now, the pattern or the technique that I showed in my video that I posted earlier this week has you casting off on waste yarn and then dropping the stitches. And that's really important for like the wearable top that I showed you, because we want to make sure that the size is what you're prepared for. But you can use the machine is what I'm saying. So there's different techniques you can use, and we're going to use the machine together here shortly. But so far, I only had the 1 tucked stitch. But if I was not monitoring this, there would be there would be so many tucked stitches. Now, could I crochet this in the same amount of time that it's taking me to do this? Yes, 100%. 100% I could. But again, different techniques. And it wouldn't look quite the same because this is knit and not crochet. Okay, I think we're getting close. We're almost to the end of that round, and then we will release some stitches. Okay, so we just went 20 rows with the cotton. And as I mentioned before, we're doing drop stitches, which means that our work is going to essentially almost double in length because we're going to be dropping every other stitch. You can, and there are a ton of great creators out there, pattern makers that actually do really fun designs where they, skip different ones. This is just the most basic drop stitch pattern ever. It's every other stitch. That is it. Super simple. Everyone can do it. So we just got to 20 rows. Now what we're going to do is we are going to drop every other stitch, and then we're going to stitch a couple of additional rows. And the reason we're going to do that is because for the bag that I'm making, I do want to have it reinforced at the top a little bit, just because it is going to be stretchy. It's, you know, I'm probably going to give it to the hubs to take to the grocery store. Surprise, babe. You're going to get a new bag for the grocery store. But in this case, you know, we do want to have a few more rows. I am certainly not going to make you sit here and do 10 rows with this cotton. No, not in this cotton fabric or this cotton yarn, but this is where we are now. So now we're going to get into the drop stitch pattern. Okay, so before I do that, let me just check all of the comments. And Elena asks, how fast can you go with the machine? You can go pretty quickly, depending on the yarn. Cotton, you cannot go quickly. The machine, this one right here, this Addy machine, Carrington Hargett asks, how much does it cost? This one's pretty pricey. I think I got it around $200. I've been using it for a couple years, and I use it with thick cotton, with thick yarn, with blanket yarn, with regular yarn. I use it pretty regularly, and I am loving it. I haven't had very many issues, so definitely love this one. You can get less expensive versions as well, but you really can't do thicker yarns or cotton or anything like that, but they definitely exist. Let's see what are these silver. Okay, I'm just making sure, getting all these. I don't know why I'm so out of breath, y'all. It's like I get so excited. Okay, and I already read all this. Real crocheting. Oh, so Harper has a great question. They say, do you consider this real crocheting or knitting? So real in quotes. And I think this is a great question, and it's a conversation that comes up all the time. I will see, you know, people going back and forth saying that knitting machine is not handmade. You know, when you work with a knitting machine, you're not actually doing handcrafting. And, you know, I think everyone's entitled to their opinion 100%. So this machine is a tool. She's a tool. Just like a hammer, just like a sewing machine. Now, your sewing machine can't make a garment on its own, right? It needs you. The hammer can't nail something in without you. It needs you. The knitting machine can't do it on its own. It needs you. So it is a tool. So anything you create with your circular knitting machine, with your own two hands, is still handcrafted. Now, with that said, there is absolutely a difference between the handcrafting that goes into crochet, that goes into knitting. That is a different craft, okay? So just want to make sure that we distinguish between the two. But you're still an artist no matter what. It's just the tools that you use are going to vary. So anyway, those are my thoughts on that. Stepping down from my soapbox now. Sarah Susan O'Brien asks, what are these silver clamps? These are amazing. If you're having problems with your machines, these are just called claw clips, and you can find them on Amazon, pretty much anywhere. And again, another little tool to help you out. And they're weighted. So because they're weighted, they hold your yarn down so you don't get as many popped or tucked stitches. So they're really good if you're working with those thick yarns. Yeah, some fraying without the weights, yes, 100%. Tanisha Jolly says, I have a cheaper version. What yarn should I use? Okay, so 4 weight at the most. And if you have yarn that's smoother, like I use Caron Simply Soft if I'm using my other Centros, and they tend to work really, really well. So can I first edit only 160? Oh, look at that. Okay, so Mary Arnold Nelson, thank you for sharing. So they just shared that the 46 Addy is only $160 on Amazon. Y'all, that is an amazing price right now. $160 is probably the lowest we're going to see for a long time. And then the 22 pin is only $100. So the 22 pin, I use that all the time. That one is like, that's pretty much my, actually, I use them both. I don't know why. I think I use that one more. But I do use the smaller one when I'm trying to whip up a quick sample. So definitely thank you for sharing. That is awesome. Awesome, awesome. And then, yes, Kartoffel Minchen. Hi, welcome. Okay, I've been talking forever, and I'm going to show you how to do this, releasing some stitches. So we just knitted 20 rows with our machine. So now what we want to do is we are going to release every other stitch. Now, if we were just going to be dropping the stitches, you could cast off your machine right now, call it a day. But I want to do, as I mentioned, a few extra rows with the cotton. So we are going to go, okay, to drop our stitches, we're going to go behind this pin. So we need to make sure it's under this last pin here. So we're going to go behind, back in front, and you are going to have to make sure everything falls down, right? You don't want any tuck stitches. And then the next one, we're also going to go behind. Then we're going to go in front, behind, in front. And what this is doing is every one that you're going behind is going to release, and that's what's going to give us that drop effect, that drop stitch effect. Down behind, in front, behind, in front, behind, front, behind, in front, behind. Okay, so we're back to that one there. So now that we dropped all the stitches, we're going to do a couple more rows with our cotton, and we're just going to continue knitting away. That is it. And hopefully I was paying attention enough and I didn't mess this up. Oh, it's so much easier without all of those stitches. But again, still monitoring. Yes, did I do it right? Yes, okay, cool. So that was one time around. Let's go around again. We'll do, I think, just 4 rows. We're not going to go the 10 rows, but I think that 4 rows would be the most effective. Okay, just 2 more. And I do want to be careful with my weights because I do not want this to come unraveled all the way until we have a chance to crochet finish the bottom, or slip stitch. We're going to slip stitch the bottom. Okay, so we're just going to go around one more time with this cotton. And then we're going to cast off with waste yarn. Okay, so we're back to the first pin. So because I'm going to need, I'm not quite sure how much I'm going to need to finish that, I'm going to put the ball in the center. And now I'm going to use waste yarn to cast off, if I can find it. Here we are. Okay, so now, again, you will need to be careful when you're casting off, even though the yarn that you're probably using to cast off with is not cotton. Still want to make sure you do not drop any stitches at this point. And you can already see in the center of the machine the drop stitches working. But again, I just want to be careful because I haven't finished the bottom and I don't want it to drop all the way. Oh, darn it. I gotta tuck stitch right at the end, which is just the waste yarn. So honestly, I don't want to waste my time fixing it, but I am going to pick my yellow loops up so it does not mess up. Because I wasn't paying attention. I just told you to pay attention and then I didn't pay attention. Okay, so for those in the back that were wondering how fast does the machine go, I'll show you with this waste yarn. When you're working with yarn that actually the machine enjoys, you can actually speed up the process. And this is more real world. So when I'm working on a sample, this is usually the speed that I'm going, just in case you're wondering. Okay, so now we're at the very end. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna keep going. So it falls off our work. And I just realized it did not take my weights off. That was probably a rookie move, but that's okay. We can still take them off. All right, let me move our machine out of the way so I can show you the finishing process. All right, so before I do anything else, let me get the rest of these weights pulled off. Recommendation, pull off your weights before you cast off your machine. I just forgot that I was using them. And one more, here we go. Okay. So now what you should have is you have this little piece right here. Okay, again, oh, it's already looking, it's cotton. I love cotton. I just don't like working with it, but I love it. So this bottom piece down here, this is going to be the bottom of our bag. And we want to make sure that we have a nice solid finish. So on this sample that I made, this little small sample, I just did a slip stitch just to give it some strength down here. Also, if you plan on using this as like a book bag and you're going to use it very regularly, you might consider you know, doing like a crochet, like a more reinforced bottom, just to make sure that it does not come apart. But cotton is pretty sturdy. Again, another reason I recommend using it for this type of project. All right, so we are gonna slip stitch and I'm gonna show you how that looks. All right, Pierce Zimmer, stop spamming the chat. I can call your brother Nick Jer. That's how I'm going to say that. And if you're wanting me to say it another way, I'm not going to do it. But anyway, if it's his birthday, happy birthday. Okay, so when we're doing a slip stitch, one thing I do recommend is putting your stitch markers in the last two stitches because you don't want to miss them. It also will help you when you're doing a slip stitch. The reason we're doing a slip stitch is because we are going to connect this bottom together. We do want it to be stitched close. If you didn't want it stitched close, you would just go around and pick up the loops all the way around. And I'm going to show you that at the top, but we definitely want to finish the bottom first so that we can drop the stitches. Okay, so these two line up here, and then all you're going to do is kind of eyeball these yellow loops. Kind of line up your work as you go. Till you get to the end. Yep. And there we go. And I'm going to turn this here so it is clearer to see. And let's see, we'll just use this. I think this is a 4.5. Oh, this is a 7, which I think is a 4.5. So now to slip stitch, all we're going to do is pick up the loop on one side, go to the other, pick it up, pull it through and slip stitch. Okay. And then we're just going to do back and forth. So now we're on the left side. And again, cotton has no stretch. So definitely going to have to work for it. And then we'll go back to the top, slip stitch, the bottom. And this is where this waist yarn comes in so handy because it's so easy to see which stitches you need to pick up. And then you'll get this, you know, cute little pattern here at the bottom. Again, cotton is a challenge to work with, but the results hopefully will be worth it. So one thing I always forget to do because it's just not in my nature, but if any of you are looking for PDF patterns, I am a pattern designer for the knitting machine, and you can find some patterns on Etsy. I also do custom work if you have specific suggestions, but I always forget to say that, so I just wanted to make sure to call it out. But I also do a lot of free content here on YouTube, so there's that as well. So you start with the bottom, like I said, because we are going to be dropping these stitches. We're going to release them. So you may have heard the term drop stitch, but essentially you're just releasing the stitches from being knit. It makes them loose, and it creates that cool little mesh look like that. And as I mentioned before, that once you have this technique down, you can, you know, make little fishnet socks, make stockings, make a top, make a dress, make more bags. There's just, the possibilities are absolutely endless out there. And if you did not want to crochet or slip stitch this closed, you could just take your needle and yarn and just pick up all the loops with your needle and yarn as well. But with your circular knitting machine, I really recommend just getting, you know, practicing some basic crochet skills. You know, not that you're going to make a blanket or anything, but this way it will really help you finish your items cleanly. It's so quiet. I know that some of you like the quiet and like the sound of just working. My brain just never shuts off. So when it's quiet, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? All right, so I'm back to those last two stitch markers. And again, I just want to make sure I didn't miss them. Those last two stitches. Okay, and then we are going to pull the tail through and then just bind off. So essentially we're just pulling that through and making a knot. And then we can hide this yarn tail in the base of our work. Okay, so now this side is done. Guess what we're ready to do? We're ready to pull off this waist yarn and then finish the top. So if you were here in the beginning, there's two different pieces of waist yarn on here. So I have my cast on waist yarn, and then I have the rip cord or the release cord. So this is gonna let me take this bottom waist yarn off very easily. All I need to do is pull this one strand out. Maybe. Goodness, why is this? Oh, because it's cotton, that's why. Cotton does not want to release anything. Okay, so that side's out. We'll pull this side out. Okay, you ready? This always makes me so happy. Watch this, watch this. La 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 la. Wonderful. Okay, so that waist yarn is now removed. And then this is going to be the bottom of our little bag here. Okay, so it's solid, it's good. And we'll hide this yarn tail. In fact, why don't we just do that really quickly? Maybe. Where? There we go. Here's one. Just hide that. Yeah, you know, it's funny. I have never actually knit. So as a crocheter, um, you know, I'm used to that skill set, but I've never I've never used knitting needles. But you can also, if you do know knitting or if you've picked it up before, you can also use those techniques to finish off your ends. I've seen some really cool like collars, um, you know, so many different finishes that were done with actual knitting needles that are so fantastic. So definitely if you have that skill set, you can combine them. Okay, so I'm just hiding this in here. In fact, I probably should have done that on the inside, but that's okay. Put that off. Okay, we'll save this yarn, use that later. And now we need to finish the top. So with the top, we are going to do a single crochet around the top. So if you want your bag to be a little bit stretchy, definitely do a single crochet. You could also add a single crochet and then a chain one, but you definitely want to make sure you have a little bit of stretch at the top depending on what you're going to put in there. So right now, this is how big our top is. I do want to retain some of this stretch. So I'm just going to, again, use the single crochet. But this is also why I didn't cut that yarn ball when we cast off, so that we can pick up our loop. And then I go on this side, pick that up, and I'm just going to slip stitch the first one just to make sure that those are tightened up. And then I'm going to pick up the next one, pull through, and then just do a single crochet. And especially with cotton, because as you know, there's not going to be a lot of extra stretch in this. So just be mindful of how you finish the top of your bag or project, whatever you're working on. And this cotton definitely can split, so. And I don't know if I've said it today, but thank you again, everybody that has joined and participated. I do this because I love it. I love sharing what I know with all of you, and it also keeps my brain busy, which is a really important thing. So I appreciate every single one of you. Lily, hi. Hi, baby. Hi. What are you doing? Sorry, my dog child just came down here. Okay, so this is the cool thing about being live, everybody. Lily. Hi, Lily. You want to say hello? Hello. My little old lady. My little old lady. Okay, Mama's going back to work. So that's Lily, everybody. She's a rescue. We don't quite know how old she is. She's at least 10, I think. We rescued her from Emerald City Pet Rescue in Seattle, Washington, and she has been the best dog I've ever had in my entire life. She's an angel, except she is losing her vision, just cataracts. But now she's running into things a little more often. We joke, you know, she's klutzy like her mom. It's quite true. All right. Yeah, she doesn't come down here to my basement very often because it's really dark down here. And since she can't really see the stairs as much, she kind of gets, I think she just gets scared. What you doing, boo-boo? Did you get stuck? Did you get stuck? Does Daddy have to come and get you? Okay, so you're gonna, if you're hanging out, if you're waiting to the end, you're gonna see how fun it is when you drop all those stitches. The payoff is worth it, I promise. Oh, Lily, what'd you just run into, Mama? Okay, thanks, B. She just got stuck down here. So we have this old house. It's from, I think, 1901, 1902. And I'm in the basement. So we redid this basement. This is my craft room. It's pretty amazing, except that it's dark and cold always. And then the stairs are a little steep and they're concrete. So it's hard for me some days to get down here. So I could only imagine for a little puppy. Who else has animals out there? Pets? Anyone have any pets? Puppies? Cats? Birds? Salamanders? Snakes? They all count. All right, so this yarn definitely, so it's splitting. So I'm just gonna back up a little bit and try to fix that little split. I had to pause for a second and make sure you could see what I'm doing. I can't tell you how many times I've recorded a tutorial and then looked at the camera and said, oh, that was great. You didn't even see anything I was doing. Good job. Good job. Okay, good. We're back at the end. So here's our first stitch that we picked up. So we're just going to go right through there. And we're just going to slip stitch that together. And then I'm going to bind it off. So just pull that through and make a knot. There we go. So see, there's still stretch to the top with that single crochet. And then we have some stretch to the bottom as well. And now we are going to make the drop stitch happen. Oh no, Ryan, your dog died. I'm so sorry. Lily's our third. So we've gone through two, unfortunately, that have passed. So yeah, it's always so hard. Oh, Joanna's Crocheting Animal Sanctuary has cats and dogs. Well, I mean, in the name Animal Sanctuary, I already love you. That's pretty awesome. I don't know if you are a fan of Lee Asher and the Asher House, but that's one of my favorite creators because he rescues dogs, you know, from all over. Amazing, for sure. Your bag looks like a bee. Well, the black's coming off, but don't worry. I love bees, so I love it. Okay, I just need to blow my nose really fast, y'all. Sorry. I told you it's cold down here. Because it's in the basement, I think it's like always the same temperature. Probably like always 65 down here. So now that we've finished the top, we are going to remove our waste yarn from the top. So we'll just take this off. Oh, Mary Arnold Nelson has a Siamese cat. Yes. Trying to play with all the needles. Yeah. Yes. Oh, I grew up with cats. So yes, they're always getting into something for sure. Jackson's art, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. Hopefully you get some good stuff out of the content. A parrot, a dog, a lizard, a cat, and a spider. Yes, full house, the four idiots. That's what they say. So they have a full house. That's awesome. Yes, so Hazim. Okay, sorry, I should have paused and told you this was waste yarn from where we cast off. So this was just essentially holding the place so that we could pick up those yellow loops, okay, and make it this nice clean finish. Because if we hadn't had that on there, the finish would be wonky. The stitches would probably be different sizes. So that's what the purpose of this waste yarn is. So yes, sorry, I should have paused a little bit more on that one. Okay, so now that we have that, we are going to drop the stitches. Is everyone ready? Is everyone ready? Okay, so here we go. Look at this. This is like my favorite part. So now we're just releasing all those stitches. They're live, right? They're just in here. And as you pull, so it'll start to look like, you know, what do you call it? A baseball? Not baseball. Oh my gosh, I promise I do understand sports. Basketball. It looks like a basketball hoop. So there's another thing you could do with it. Let's say you wanted to make a gift for somebody and you wanted to make a little basketball hoop. Here you go. Use the same process, except don't finish the bottom down here. Actually, you could. Oh my gosh. Everybody, you know what we could do? You could still have this closed and you could make it a little bit shorter and then you could have your own little basketball hoop, hang it on your wall, right? And then you can throw little like crochet balls into it. Okay, that sounds like a good idea, like a good little present idea. By the way, this is how my designs come to me. Literally just out of the blue. My brain is just never stops working. So all I'm doing now is I'm continuing to pull all those stitches until they meet at, remember we slip stitch this together, so this is secure. So as long as you didn't forget to pick up any of those loops, this should all be perfect. Now I did not add a strap on this one, again, with the problems that the cotton, how long it takes to do it. But this is one of those things I would probably go back and add like a bag to the side of it. So here we have, right, the bottom is sealed. We have the top. In fact, let me hide this really fast just so that you can see the thing. And I'm gonna grab a little book. Is that knotted off? I'll do one more knot just to make sure. Make sure this is not going anywhere. Excellent. All right, so I'm gonna just weave this through because it's cotton. This is gonna stay in here pretty easily if I can get it in. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, let me grab a little book. Let's see, what do I have? Do I have any books around here? Oh, I do. Okay, I haven't even read this book yet. I got this, okay, I'll show y'all. One of my favorite makers is called Instagram. She is a clothing designer, but she is all maximalist. So she does things with melty beads, which I was really into for a while. But she does just things on how to, I don't know, just cool stuff. Anyway, so here's the book that we have. So we're gonna stick this in our little bag just to see how much it can actually hold. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Okay, cool. We're gonna flip it around really fast. Okay, oh, hi everybody. Oh wait, you don't need to look at my face while I'm reading the messages. Hold on one sec, because my face is not that great. Okay, let's see. Okay, cool. All right. Don't want to make you sick, but I'm gonna switch this over here. Here we are, everybody. Huh? If you've been here, here's what we made. So this now, again, this is really long. I did 18 rows and then it doubled in size from dropping the stitches. You can make it shorter if you planned on having less in here. Add your straps on here. You could just like crochet a little strap and have this around your shoulders, but it's cotton, so it's so sturdy. How much can we stick in this? I'm trying to look for something bigger because I feel like this bag has so much stretch to it. Okay, I'm gonna put something random in here. Let's see. I don't really have anything random. It's like all yarn, but anyway, this is what we made. So this is the technique for using those drop stitches. And again, use it for so many different things. And again, just to show you. Yeah, I can't calm down. So just so you know, this is my brain, this is my body. I am like this all the time. So just so you know. So anyway, this is the same technique as I mentioned, except that I didn't do any additional rows of regular knitting. I just did 100% crochet, or sorry, 100% drop stitch. This is a panel and these are tubes for the sleeves. So using the same, and I did use acrylic yarn as well instead of cotton. So this went much quicker than the cotton did. But play around with it. Again, there's so many things you can make with this and do with it. It just really depends on your imagination and what you want to do, truly. So thank you everybody for joining. That was how to do the drop stitch technique. We made our little market bag. I will make some straps for this. I'll probably post it on Insta. So if you want to see other projects as they come to fruition, you can follow on Insta. Don't forget to sub if you like this kind of content. And then also, if you give it a like, that lets me know that you enjoyed your time with me. And always feel free to ask questions and give constructive comments, 100%. This is a kind and inclusive place that we are accepting of everybody with kindness and joy in our hearts. And yes, that sounds cheesy, but that's who I am. So thank you so much, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed. We will be back hopefully next Sunday. We typically do around 2:30 Pacific with our lives here on YouTube. So yeah. I know, there's always trolls. That's what we have, our great fearless, the Anchor 24 is a great mod. So, and Hazim, thank you so much again for all of your great questions and interaction. It was wonderful. Okay, everybody, until next time, see ya!